we're going to talk about planning out your goals. Yesterday, we spoke about setting your goals and making them SMART goals, so specific and measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, and also how to make sure that you can adjust them, create habits around them, and also figuring out who your cheerleaders are. So today we're going to actually start planning them, right? Are you ready? It's going to be amazing. If you haven't seen the video about setting the goals, then go back and watch that video, because that will definitely help you, because it doesn't really make sense to plan out a goal that you have not created in a good way for that to happen. That was confusing, but you really want to have a SMART goal. That's all I'm saying, because when you have that, it's way easier to plan it out and make it a success. The reason we want to do this is because when we actually have a plan, and a very detailed one at that, it's going to be way easier for us to reach the goal. We're going to be able to celebrate along the way, which is part of what keeps our momentum and our progress towards that goal. So I'm going to make a little exercise with you today. So when we have a goal, we want to cut it into smaller pieces. And a very, very good way to do this is this little exercise. And if you can do this physically with a piece of paper and stand up and doing it, it's way better. I'm going to use the example of when I wrote and published my book. So I set a date, right? So I created my SMART goal, and my deadline, my time bound part of that goal was that I wanted it to publish the book on October 11th. So what I do, put a piece of paper on the floor and say, this is October 11th. Then I close my eyes and say, okay, so this is where I'm at right now. Visualize that I am on October 11th and I am publishing this book. What was the last thing that happened before you got to that? I got the book back from the printers. Okay. Before that, what happened? Well, I wrote back and forth with the printers. I'm going to note all of these things down, right? Or record them as I speak them. And so I wrote back and forth to get the last things in place with the printer. Okay. Before that, well, I sent it to the printer. And before that, and dates are good to have on here as well. But just first of all, let's get the actions down that you think are going to happen. Before I sent it off to the printers, I had my last read through and corrections of it. And I had a graphic designer help me with setting it up. Okay. Before that, well, I had a proofreader read through it. Okay. Before that, I did a reversion myself. And before that, I had test readers read it and give me feedback. Before that, I finished writing it. Before that, well, I wrote the different parts of it. Before that, and go back all the way to, okay, so where am I now in this process? This way you get so many steps from where you want to be to where you are right now. And what we want to do with that is we want to put in milestones. We want to use this exercise to create milestones for ourselves. So basically, we will say we have an overall goal. Under each goal, we have maybe 4 or 5 milestones along the way. And those milestones are super important. We're going to use them to celebrate along the way and create those wins, create that momentum, and also make it less overwhelming to look at this goal out in the future and be like, oh my God, I have published a book in whatever, how much time, a year, or how much it is. So figuring out what are all of these milestones along the way. Then for each milestone, we're going to sit down and we're going to set deadlines for these milestones as well, because we want to make sure that everything kind of fits. I've thought about when, again, publishing a book, remembering that the proofreader actually needs 2 weeks maybe, or however long that proofreader needs, right? So figuring out what do other people also need of time, because it's not just depending on you, it's also depending on other people. So where do other people's influence add to your plan, or it can maybe even require adjustment to your plan? Then we have that. Then we go in and look at each of these milestones have different tasks that need to be done. Writing chapter 1, I need to do research. I need to interview people. I need to, all of these different tasks under each. And maybe sometimes you want to even give the tasks depending on how small the tasks are, right? But the more you can break it up to make these tasks doable without being overwhelming, the easier it will get to reach your goal. And having that as your plan to get there is one of the best ways I have ever experienced of reaching a goal. And at the same time, remember, going back to the Smart ABC, do it. But what I wanted to say here was go back to the cheerleaders. So remember, share your plan with some of your cheerleaders, have someone help you stay accountable, a strategist like me, a coach, someone who can help you stay on track with your plan and can help you adjust the plan when you need to. But also the cheerleaders to help you celebrate those milestones along the way so that when you actually reach your goal, you guys can also celebrate together with a bigger celebration. And remember, if your goal is a health goal, then it's probably not the best idea to celebrate your milestones with eating candy or something like that. So really also thinking about, with the new habits you're creating, with the goal you have in mind, what are suitable celebrations? With me and my husband, I found that high fives are a super good way to celebrate. Also because internal validation and your internal celebration should be a big part of this, right? It helps you see the milestone is also for your internal part to celebrate with yourself. But it's always nice to get the external help along the way. It's a balance right there. Let me know in the comments, what is your goal? And do you have a plan? I would love to know. And reach out if you're looking for someone to help you reach that goal. Remember, I have a community where we're talking about accountability, we're talking about goal setting, we're talking about wins along the way, all of these things. So jump into the school community. There'll be a link in the description. And I would love to see you there and help cheer on you and your goals. Have an absolutely fantastic day with joy and excitement. Bye.